hand in the palm of my hand. Bad little flex, wanna play by the coast. Carry the torch, I'm way up, it's litty wherever we float. I came from the cold, used to rest on the floor and stitch up my wounds, was born a soldier. Flipping the struggle, I'm taking it worldwide. Hold it down when you talk to me. Say it is what it's supposed to be. Say it loud, but I mean it too, yeah. Talk that good when you talk to me. Say it nice and I give it to you. You know my word is litty wherever we float. I came from the cold, used to rest on the floor and stitch up my wounds, was born a soldier. Flipping the struggle, I'm taking it worldwide. Hold it down when you talk to me. Say it is what it's supposed to be. Say it loud, but I mean it too, yeah.
Welcome to Dinner with the Coaches. I am your host, Nadira Lewis, and I'm excited that it is Sunday.
Yay!
To be here with my favorite co-host, Thomas Taylor. Thomas, how are you this Sunday?
Hey, good evening. Good evening. Simply marvelous. Better than good and better than most. Hope everybody's well out there. Let's go.
Awesome. I'm excited because we have an amazing program set up today. So Thomas, won't you talk to our audience and let them know a little bit about our guests, and let's get going.
Yeah. We have Audrey Hurd out there. She's going to do very well as we have Mr. Dennis Gerald, who's an attorney out of South Carolina. So I'm looking forward to getting some good insight, having some good dialogue.
Yes, definitely. And we're going to have an amazing topic today, which is something that it's getting close to the end of the year.
Yeah.
And so this is the time where everybody either gets freaked out or everybody gets extremely excited, because especially those that have a plan in place and things and already know what they want to do for next year. So I'm excited to kind of get engaged in this conversation. So before we do that, before we actually engage in our conversation with our guests, I'm going to go ahead and play this quick video, and the next faces you'll see will be that of our wonderful guests, Dennis and Audrey. We'll be back after this.
I want you to remember that God's created everything you see. He breathed it into existence. Remember when his people were caught up in slavery? He rescued them. What he did was he parted the sea, and he made a way for them, and then he delivered their enemies to them, and he unlocks wombs, and he provides water from a rock, and he provides manna from heaven, and he brought down the walls of Jericho. He froze the sun, allowing victory. He's toppled giants with tiny stones. He's brought fire from heaven. He shut the mouths of lions. He preserved life in the belly of a well. He's fed thousands with a few loaves. He gives the weak strength. He heals the sick. He's made the blind see, the deaf hear, the mute speak, the lame walk, and he's overcome evil, and he's made a way through death for you and me by the death and the resurrection of his son, Jesus Christ, that we will live with him forever. We will dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever and ever and ever. What are we afraid of? His resume is flawless. He controls everything. And he loves you.
Welcome,
Nice.
and Thomas, and we are waiting for Dennis to return back with us. Welcome to Dinner with the Coaches.
Yeah, all right. How you doing, Miss Audrey?
We can't hear you.
I'm well. How are you, sir?
Good. Simply marvelous. Well, it's great to have you on Dinner with the Coaches.
Absolutely.
You having a good evening? Good.
Thank you for having me.
Good. You're more than welcome. Well, this evening, what we're going to do is we're going to have a little topic. Audrey, when Dennis jumps on, I'll reiterate it. But we're just going to have a conversation about things that you feel that we can actually how can your future, I'm saying like this, how can your future be better than your past, right? Like things that we can talk about that we can do different, right? To put ourselves in a position where our future is a little bit different, a little bit better than the things we experienced in our past. So we're going to kind of dive into that. What are your thoughts on that? I know Dennis is trying to come in, but what are your thoughts? And Audra, she's an author, right? She has a publishing company as well. So she's out there doing great things. So I'm sure you have a wealth of knowledge on that particular topic.
I do. I actually start jotting a couple things down. But if you want to reposition yourself or have a future that's better than your past, the first thing you have to think about is what didn't work in the past. What didn't work? Gotcha. A lot of times we want to move forward and we want to forget the past, and we should forget the past. However, sometimes we have to take inventory of things that we've done that didn't work. That means that we have to rehearse it, think about it, consider what decision that we may have made that was not so good, so to speak, and just kind of like rehash it. You know, a lot of times we don't want to rehash the past because it could be painful. It could bring up old wounds. It could bring a lot of pain. And so a lot of times we don't want to think about it, but that's the first step to recovery. At least that's what they say in AA. I haven't been through AA, but you know, the first thing they do is they tell you, you know, you have to admit what you are, or where you're currently living at, or what is your habit, so to speak. And so you do have to think about, you know, what did you do wrong? You know, think about it, and then don't just think about what you did wrong, but think about what you could have done that was right. And then consider what you could have done that was right. But then let's talk about some of the good stuff that you encountered. You know, we don't want to just rehash the bad. Let's think about the successes. Let's think about the victories. Let's think about that, because sometimes when you're repositioning yourself for the future, you may come to a point where it's challenging and you're going through a tough time. And so I have sometimes had to remind myself, remember when you did X, Y, and Z and how that turned out? Remember you found success doing it that way? Okay, let's pull on that victory, because that's something that can help you to have a better future, so to speak, or better, better than the past. If you think about the bad, think about what you could have done differently. Consider the victories and how the victories actually can reposition you for a better future too. So those are some of the things that I was just writing down and considering.
Okay. All right. Look like she gave us the whole kitchen sink, everybody.
Not quite.
She gave it all to us, huh?
Not quite.
But you know, you said some interesting things, and one thing that was very interesting, you said in terms of, why not think about the victories, right? You know, why is it that most people, when you talk and you think about the past, it goes right to the negative experiences,
right?
Right. For some reason, whatever experiences that were positive, they get overshadowed by the negative. Like the negative just permeates and it just thrives, and it comes front and center. That's all individuals can see, right? Yeah. So that was a good point.
Yeah. You know, here's the thing. Anytime the pain comes up first, and it's like you said, it's kind of like it's automatic. But anytime the pain comes up, it sounds like there may be, I don't necessarily want to use the word therapy, but possibly recondition the mind, so to speak. Because we do immediately go for what's negative, but let's try to retrain our thought process. Let's try to retrain our mind. Let's try to say, you know, think on these things that are good, these things that are lovely, these things that are just. Let's think on these things. But that's a daily, that's a strategy that you have to implement daily. You know, like sometimes you have to get up daily thinking on good things, because for some reason, and I don't know, I'm not a doctor, but for some reason we physically harbor, like you said, what's negative. And then we kind of wake up thinking about the bad of the previous day or the bad experience, especially if we're in a trying time. We really pull on that negative for some reason. So let's try to rethink, you know, repositioning ourselves for a better future. let's rethink, let's train our mind, let's, practice some affirmations, practice putting some things in the atmosphere, that will help retrain our thought process in what's ingrained into our mind, so to speak.
Yeah, and Dennis, we're gonna bring you in 2 seconds over here.
Okay.
But you something that when you said that, it takes me to, in one of those books that I often pick up. It has 66 books in there. Somewhere in Romans, around 12 somewhere, it talks about renewing your mind.
Yes.
Right. Like to renew our mind, right? Why is that important? Because he's reminding us to go back to what he told us.
Yes.
Because there'll be a warring between our heart and our mind. And then our past experiences will hold us. So he says, renew, come back to what I told you. Yep. So Dennis, you could jump in here. We're talking about how can your future, like what are some things that we can do whereas our future can be better than our past? What do you say about that, Dennis?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to participate. We were having a little bit of technical problems here, but just looking back at where you've been, you could always learn from your mistakes, and that would give you a clear idea as to where you would want to go in the future. Because if you don't understand your past, you're always going to repeat what's in the past. So you want to be able to experience what's in your past. You want to be able to take a good hard look in the mirror, Thomas, and own those things in the past so you can have a clearer future ahead of you. So that's the way I look at it.
Wow, that's good. How about yourself, Miss Nadira?
I basically think that you really just have to. I agree with Audria, both Dennis and Audria. But I would like to say, if I had to add anything to it, focus on what you really want. Most of the time we spend so much time trying to, especially when it comes to preparing for our future, is not only looking back, but most of the time we don't look back at just us. We look back at other things that are surrounding, things that troubled us, things that hindered us, things that caused us to be stagnant. And I think when we change our mindset and we start to focus on what we really want to do, what we really want to achieve, and really develop a realistic plan to get there. It's easy to plan. It's easy to say, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. But it's like when you and I had a conversation earlier about writing things down. When you write it down, what's your favorite word? It turns into law. When you write it down, it becomes something that is placed before you. So I think when I think about things that I desire to do for my future, I write them down, because that's the only way I can get them out of my head. Because as long as they're circling around in my head, it's just a thought. And most of the time when we have thoughts going around in our head, it's almost like a merry-go-round. They come up one month, then they go back to the back of your head. And then they come back up another month, and then they go back up your head. I've had visions of things that I wanted to do years ago that are still coming back. It's like a revolving circle just going around in my head. And I said, you know what? I'm going to be intentional. If I want things to manifest, I got to get it out of my head. I got to focus. I got to write it down, and I got to have practical strategies to get me there.
Yeah. If I could interject right there, you said something that I heard somebody say about journaling, and y'all know I'm an avid writer. So I'm huge on writing. But when you were saying that, Nadira, it just reminds me of, I try to journal every day so that I can get all of that out. I call it a mental dump. When I just kind of write down everything that, especially the negative, but I've learned, piggybacking off of what you said, that when I get that negative out, a week later, I'm not writing about that same negative thing, so you got to constantly dump it out and constantly get it out so that it doesn't continue racing around. It doesn't continue keeping you trapped. I feel like you're trapped when you've got those things going on in your mind. You don't find a way to release them and get them out, they do become racing thoughts. They do keep running around inside your mind. So I just wanted to piggyback off of that.
Yeah, and if I could, I would like to piggyback on that too, because we all have those reoccurring thoughts but we also have those thoughts sometimes that are golden nuggets, and it seems like they appear once and then they disappear, and you lose them forever.
Yeah.
So that journaling is amazing, because some of those thoughts that we have that disappear and never come back could be the difference between where you are now and where you really want to go. It can have a major impact on not only your life, but the lives of other individuals. So I agree with everything that I'm hearing. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, that's awesome, because somewhere in Habakkuk 2:2 it talks about write it down, like write the vision and make it plain, right? Again, so like why is that important? Again, Nadira and I, we always talk about, I was talking about in terms of, Dennis, and you know this to be true in terms of in your profession, in terms of just law. If it's not written, right, how can you hold somebody accountable?
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
So when you talk about understanding, changing the trajectory of our past, we have to understand what's our destination,
right?
Where we're going, right? So what happens is, and that's why most people don't do it. Why? Because when you write it down, now you have to be accountable.
Right.
Yes.
You see that?
Right.
Yeah.
And most people don't, because most people just want to converse back and forth about something that they thought about. It doesn't make you accountable.
That's true.
It's just conversation. You just talking. But when you write it down, it stops moving. And that's when you start to understand universal laws and universal principles that actually start to be applied to that. And now things start to change. Why? Because now it starts to get embedded in your subconscious. And even when you're not thinking about it, you remember what you wrote.
Right.
We go right now. We could go back. I got books all around me, and I can go to books where I wrote things down, and it already came to pass. And some things, I'm still working on. But writing it down is definitely key, because just think about how we grew up. The things that we're talking about now, we weren't taught when we were growing up.
Right.
The only thing I used to write down is, I will not talk in class. I will not talk in class. I will not talk in class. One line all the way down. That's what I wrote down. You know what I mean?
And I think too, it shows us. It helps us. When we think of in terms of stewardship, we always think of things, but you have to be good stewards over your mind too, over the visions that
That's right.
I had I think I was talking on my broadcast Friday, and I was talking to Dr. Monica Hart, and I said one of the things that God was showing me, I was sitting on the bed, I had so many things going through my head, and I was like, oh my God, I have so many things. And I was just like, oh my gosh, there's no way I can do all these things. And I just felt like God was like, from you. And I've been a good steward over the things that I've given you. And I thought, no, I don't want them to go. I don't want those thoughts to go, because I want it. So I jumped up in the middle of the night and started writing it down, because some things he would, just keep circling in my head. But until I got it out, then I became accountable once I got it out of my head. Because now it's not something I can say I'm not sure of, or I don't know about this, because I wrote it down. So if I wrote it down, that means I'm acknowledging, which is probably why our teachers made us write it 100 times, so it can be embedded and printed into it can be marked in our head, right? So it's the same thing. We become better stewards over our thought life, especially when it comes over our goals and dreams. I'm starting to recently take some things that I've actually been circling in my head, and I started to write it down. And I started to say, wow, this has been circling in my head for X amount of years. If I probably would have done this at the time that I got it, because some things are for now, some things are for later, right? But you don't know unless you get it out.
Right.
So I started to think, wow, this is something I started to realize all the things that God entrusted me with. And I thought, wow, coach, author, mother. And I started to go down the things, and I'm like, wow, I've been to whom much is given, much is required. And I started to think, wow, all of these downloads that God has given, he's expecting me to do something with it. So I don't want to leave the earth. I don't ever want to get to a point where, I heard Miles Monroe say this, you don't want to say you're retired. You want to say it's finished. So I want to be able to get everything out of my head. So by the time I leave this earth, I can say it is finished. Not I'm retired.
Like Jesus. That's what Jesus said, it's finished.
Yeah, it's done.
So we've got to learn how to first start finishing some things that God gave us before, because God is not going to keep giving us stuff if we don't do. You ever ask God and pray about something like, Lord, I need this, and he's giving you like 5 other things, and you're expecting him to move miraculously on something else new. I need a new vision. I need a new outlook. And then he takes you right back to the same things that he told you to do. And I think that's what happens. We look for new ways, new creativity, new this, and sometimes it's just a new mindset to go back to what he told you to do. And start bringing some things to pass. So yeah, that's something that I thought about when it came to stewardship. I was like, yeah, I got to be a better steward, because if he's giving me this, if I don't be a good steward over it, I promise you, I've seen 3 ideas go through my head I've done nothing with, and I've seen him give the exact same idea to somebody else. So exact that I wanted to call him up and be like, hey, that was mine first. Mine. I mean, so exact, it was scary. So that's when I began to realize, yeah, we better be good stewards over the things that God impart on the inside of us. It's an investment.
Yeah, and I want to add that, and we're going to go to break, and we're going to come back and talk about actual steps that we can utilize to help our audience better their future. But in that sense right there, Nadira, in terms of when God gave it to you, I think sometimes what happens is we don't realize that what he has given us is not for us.
That's good.
When we put ourselves in that equation, now we try to categorize where it's going to fit. And what happens is, and I teach my team this, I teach them when your creator gives you something, and when you learn something, you learn it to teach it.
That's right.
Why? Because if you learn it to try to keep it, you're going to try to put it inside of a box. And if it doesn't fit inside your box, you're going to disregard it. But when you get it, if you understand it, and if you learn it to teach, it constantly moves. Because we know as humans, what happens is when we hear something, or when our creator tells us something, we try to categorize it.
That's true.
We try to rationalize with it. We try to understand it, and we don't move until we feel we understand it.
That's true. That's true.
And now if we say we understand it, we say, okay, God, now I will. See? But he already moved. So when we get it, we have to understand it's not for us, it's for who he assigned to us.
Wow.
Different train of thought.
Drop the mic.
We're gonna be back right after this commercial break. We're gonna go one level deeper.
You know how to bring it in right on time. Lord, you know how to bring it in right on time. My goodness. Well, as you heard it, guys, we'll be right back after this.
I've done some terrible things in my life.
Some of them I chose to do.
And I own these choices.
But others, I just feel like I was swept up in a series of circumstances that didn't involve my will.
They just sort of happened to me.
I've become the culmination of those choices and circumstances.
So I guess I just need to say it.
I really need some help.
Hello, I'm Tracy Harris, and I help women in positions of leadership go from stalling to balling, taking back control of who they are so that they can create the lifestyle they desire. For more information, go to www.tracylharris.com.
Hi, I'm Sherman Q. Harrison, herbal naturopath. I help release individuals from a state of toxicity into natural wellness so they are able to go from feeling to healing. Book a call with me today at www.healbynature.org.
Hello, my name is Thomas Taylor III. I'm a visionary coach. I help business leaders align their dreams with their destiny so they can build a lasting legacy. So if that's you, you can reach out to me via Instagram at Thomas Taylor III, or you can follow me on YouTube at Thomas Taylor III, that's Taylor Your Dreams. That's Thomas Taylor III, that's Taylor Your Dreams. Until then, go out there and make it a great day.
Kravitz, and I am confidence coach. I empower female entrepreneurs find fulfillment by awakening their confidence. Find me at I am Kayla Kravitz on Instagram. Let's unleash your confidence.
I'm Nadira Lewis, author, life, and business coach, and founder of the Becoming a Woman of Proverbs Wisdom Academy. I help women take their life experiences and turn them into life lessons. I also believe that just like hurt people, transform people can transform people too. Make sure you book a call with me at www.womanofproverbscoaching.com, and I'll see you on the other side of victory.
IBG Careers is looking for customer service representatives needed to service their customers from home. If you're interested, please apply at www.ibgcareers.com.
Let's work. Yo, it's go time, showtime, never backing down time. One shot, yo, make it count, yo. Crunch time, shine time, make this moment my time.
Running a successful business does not have to be hard. It just takes the right tools, mindset, and implementation of the things that you've learned in order to be able to communicate it effectively to the marketplace. Join me and so many others in the Becoming a Woman of Proverbs Wisdom Academy as I share with you through different classes that I host every week on on what things you need to know in order to make your business thrive in the marketplace. So make sure you click the link below, and I'll see you on the inside.
And we are back here with Dinner with the Coaches with our special guests, Dennis and Audria. And we are having an amazing conversation about a topic that most of us normally think about around this time of the year. So, Thomas, you want to go ahead and introduce us? Because as you say, let's go one level deeper.
Yeah. Hey, I hope everybody's enjoying it out there. We're just talking about the things that we experienced in our past and how can we put ourselves in a position where we can have a better future. So let's go one level deeper, everyone. Let's talk about some practical steps that we can give our listening audience that, based upon your experiences, that we feel that they actually can start to implement to put themselves in a better position to have a better future. So far, I heard journal, right? Audrey said journal. I heard better stewards, right? Things of that nature. And then also look at our past to get a clearer vision of where we're going. So what are some other practical steps that individuals can do to help them get past? Sometimes it's a point of pain, right? Just it could be. And some people get stuck there. Like when I say there, like when it happened to them, right? So Audrey, we're going to start with you. Like, what are some things that you can practically give individuals in terms of something that they can do to help them get past certain points that they are in their life? You on mute?
I actually have a couple things, but I'll keep it brief.
No, you got it. You good.
So here we are, dinner with the coaches, right?
Yeah.
So you may need to get a coach. Maybe you need some help getting past those places of trauma, and you may need someone to reach and get your hand and pull you to where you need to go. So you may need a coach to help you get past those places of pain, trauma, stuck. Maybe you need some clear vision. So those are some things. First of all, you might need a coach. Second thing is maybe you need to determine where you're headed to. You know, a lot of times we could just be on a journey, taking a trip with no destination.
Amen.
So you need to determine where are you going and what are you trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish? What are your goals? Once you become clear about that, now you need to think about how soon are you trying to get there? Are you trying to get there in 12 months' time? Are you trying to get there in 5 years, 10 years? I had somebody on my show the other day. They said they were planning on living another 100 years. So how far out are you stretching this life plan?
God bless them.
Yeah, God bless them. That's what I said. I would like 100, but I don't want 100 more. Okay.
Yeah, right.
But those are just some things, get yourself a coach, think about where you're trying to go. How soon do you want to get there? Define your goals, clarify your vision. So those are some steps that you can take to help you get to that better future.
Awesome, man. That's awesome. Good stuff. Dennis, how about yourself?
Wow. Well, my sister stole some of my thunder, because one of the first things I was going to say was to find a mentor. Yeah. I've had the pleasure of practicing law now for 32 years, and I believe that my career would be a whole lot further if I had a good mentor in my corner. Instead of learning the mistakes the hard way, walking in the dark and hitting your head. And then stepping back and realize what you hit your head on. If you had a good mentor, the mentor would tell you, all right, Dennis, duck, it's coming, so I can duck it and miss it. So I would say having a good mentor, somebody who can be real with you and won't sugarcoat it and will give you the real deal to help you get to that next level would be critical. The other thing that I think would be really, really important, and I think we all suffer from this, is the real ability to look in the mirror and to say, okay, what part of the problem do I control? And being real with yourself. And if you understand that you have some challenges, now you've identified them. Now it's your job to go and you need to work on them. Procrastination is a big deal for me. And I constantly have to work on that issue of procrastination. So I would say find a good mentor early in your life, early in your career, somebody who's a real mentor, and then really accepting your part of any situation that you're dealing with, because it's never a one-way street. And then finally, too, a lot of us, we want to be at the top so fast. And, I live by this mantra, think big, start small. So my dreams are big, but I know that in order for me to get there, I have to start small, and I have to master the small, mundane things. And then once I've mastered them, then I can layer on more and more and more until I get to that goal. So I would say as well, don't think you're going to get there tomorrow. It's going to be a journey, but you're going to learn while you're going along, the process. That's what I would do, Thomas.
Wow. That's awesome. I mean, you said a couple key things. I want to piggyback off of one thing you said. You practiced law for 32 years. And in that time frame, though, have you seen people live a life of regret?
Yes. Yes, I have. I've seen people live a life of regret from the client side as well as from the attorney side, from the professional side. Wishing that they would have taken, some professional steps. I've seen colleagues of mine get stuck into an area of law that they really don't enjoy, but they're doing it because they need to pay the bills, because they haven't taken that time to really reflect and to really identify what they want to do with their life. So, yeah, I've seen it, definitely.
Wow. Yeah. That's real good stuff. I hope, everybody's getting, a little something from this. And I did a Facebook Live this morning, right along this topic. And I was talking about focus, right? And I kind of hit those areas, Audrey, that you was talking about. I just said them a little bit differently. I said, identify your destination.
Yeah.
Like identify where you're going. And it's okay. It's okay if you've never seen an example of where you say you want to go. Because sometimes we think we don't have the wherewithal if we don't know who went before us.
That's good. That's
right?
good.
Because if you look at all of us on this call, and I said this before, a lot of us could be first generation individuals, first generations who went to college, maybe first generations to earn six figures, first generations to own their own business. So you are that example, and be okay with that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just be okay with that. The other thing I talked about was identify your distractions. Why? Because your distractions can bind you, can hold you, and that could be a part of your past. But identify them. You know why I said identify? Because some people say get rid of your distractions. You heard that before.
Right.
But what happened if you're sleeping next to them?
Wow.
What happened if they have the same address you have?
Yeah.
See, it's not that easy. So let's identify them. Why? Because once you can identify them, you can minimize them. You can minimize their impact. But if you don't ever identify them, if you keep fooling yourself that what you think they are is not who they are, you'll never identify them as such, as your distraction.
Wow.
And then goals, right? Why goals important? And we talked about it. Because goals are like the GPS. It sets the sail. And especially then it's for us as men, as fathers, as husbands, as providers, as leaders. If we don't set the sail for our family, what direction is our family going in?
Wow.
Going
in circles. They're going in circles, man.
See? But that perpetuates the past. We're talking about moving to the future, which is why men, especially kingdom men, have to stand up and set the sail and be okay with that. And if you have distractions inside of your camp, identify who they are. You don't have to cut them, but minimize them.
Yeah.
Why? Because you don't need excess baggage, excess weight where we're going once we set the sail as men. So some of those things are good because even books, right? Those who wrote, I'm in the process of writing my second book. I haven't published my first one. That's very, very important. Why? Because there's something that may be inside of each and every one of us, the individuals that are listening, that God has put something inside of you to help somebody else. But we don't take the time to write those things down. Look at yourself, Dennis. 32 years of law, right? That's a book.
Yeah.
That's a book in itself, right? Right? John Maxwell has 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. Dennis can have the 32 laws of the future.
32 laws of law.
How not to get stuck in your past?
That's right.
32 years. So how about yourself, Nadira? I could go on and on. How about yourself, Miss Nadira?
I come from a whole nother perspective. You have to determine what season you're in, right?
Okay.
What was it? I think it was Solomon said, everything there's a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven, right?
Yeah.
You have to figure out what season you're in. Because for some of us, we forget that time is borrowed. We forget that God has allotted us a time to do the thing He has called us to do. So when you are younger, right? Or when you're younger, you feel like you have the freedom and all the time in the world to do everything you want to do. That's why I have people when they're in their 20s don't really figure out what they want to do until like 30 or 40 because they've spent a good portion of their lives doing, because they feel like, oh, we have all the time in the world. When you tend to get older in your 30s, 40s, 50s, you tend to appreciate time. You tend to want to get things done quickly because you realize that your time is borrowed, right? I bring a different perspective to say you have to know what season you're in, because if God is giving you because He's given us a lot of time to do what it is that He called us to do. So once you've determined that I'm in a season of planning, right? Plan, do that. That's what you do to move forward. When you realize that you have spent 30 of your years planning, it's time for you to start moving. And sometimes it's the start that stops people. So sometimes it's not. Sometimes the procrastination is fear. Sometimes the procrastination is, like you said, you haven't seen it done before you. Maybe it's not been done before, but not done before you. You haven't had an example before your eyes. But you come and you coach with me, I'm going to put some fire under you. And because I realize that there's a lot of potential in the grave, right? There's a lot of people that have spent their years waiting. And we live in a time where, I don't know if you guys realize it, but God is things are moving fast, right? People are doing things. They're writing books quickly. They're creating programs. Let me tell you something. There's some people that's been on a mark for a long time, right? Some people are getting set, right? And some people are going. So you have to figure out where you are in your season in your life. And for me, that was different for me because I spent a lot of years waiting for the season. I've been on my mark for a long time, waiting. When God, when God, when. And then when COVID hit, everything opened up for all things Nadira. I wrote my first book in 30 days. How many times, Audra, have you been telling me about writing this book for like ever?
Yeah.
There's so many people that was like, write the book. I was on my mark. I was getting set. But when COVID took place and this pandemic took place, I was ready to go. And so everybody has a season in which they're going to go, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny because you can't say, you can plan your season, but you never really know until something comes. That's why he said the will of God is made known to us intuitively. There's some things that's going to go on the inside of us that's going to light us to fire, and it's going to push us to where we're supposed to be. You're not going to need anybody to tell you when to go. You're just going to know it. And it's dangerous. Let me tell you something. It's dangerous to get around somebody who's in their seasons of going, and you get with a coach, or you get with a mentor, or you get with a family member or somebody that tries to hold you back and say it's not time. Right? And that's the work, because then what happens is you don't know that internal trigger. And then it's the opposite for some. Some people are like babies that are crawling, trying to go, and they haven't had the legwork. They haven't had the practice to go. So they might go out there and kill themselves. So for me, I think you have to determine the season that you're in and realize that we don't have as much time as we think we do. And when we think like that, we'll move quicker when it comes to whether it's planning or doing. I'm an actioneer. I like to put stuff to action. I don't like, I'll talk for a while. I'll talk your head off for a while, but I'm about action. I want to go because I realized, let me tell you something. I'm 47 years old, right? In 47 years, I've lost family members who had visions and goals and dreams, right? Yeah. I've lost so much. So many things has transitioned. And the only thing I can go back and think about is I wish I would have done. I don't want to do that no more. So I want to be intentional in my planning. I want to be intentional in my doing. So if I say I'm going to create this business and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, I'm going to get up and I'm going to do it because I don't know if tomorrow's not promised to me. So I have to shift my perspective about time. I remember I was talking to Clinton, and we had a conversation about this, and he made a great point. And I think I shared this with you, Thomas. It's that when you've wasted so much time in your life, you see time totally different than other people.
True.
When you realize that you have wasted time and you've just allowed and you haven't done everything that you know you're supposed to do, you get to that point where you're awakened, you're like, it's hard. You're on fire. Ready to go. And some people might look at you and think, oh, she or he is moving too fast. You don't know the internal I'm moving by that internal compass. And I realize is that time is of an essence. And so that's what I would have to say. Figure out what season you're in.
That's good.
That's good.
That is good.
Yes. I like that because, in my practice, Thomas, I do a lot of estate work, and obviously just the nature of the work itself deals with people who are dying. So, just understanding, like Miss Nadira said, understanding the season that you're in, it will cause you to move because, I've talked to people getting them ready for their advanced directives, their wills and the power of attorneys and things. As a matter of fact, the gentleman died on Saturday. And I was supposed to conduct an interview with him tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
So understanding that season that you're in, and once you understand where you are, you have to move. You cannot wait because you don't know what's going to happen around the block. You got to make that move. So that's some good stuff there. It's really good.
Yeah.
I know we only got a couple minutes here, but I would like to do another segment on how do you identify your season?
That's good. That's good.
I think I have a clue.
Okay.
A clue. And the reason why I think I have a clue is because I've lived through different seasons. Not time, but just different seasons. Because you can have two people that can be two different age brackets and go through different seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that you can identify, because like I said, the Bible says the will of God is made known to us intuitively. So there are some things, if you ask the average person, do you have some sort of idea? They always say, yeah, right? They may not know how to strategize, how to bring it to pass. But I believe that God has given us a clue on the inside of us. It's just up to us how we seek out that clue. I don't believe that God bring us here to earth, pack us with stuff, right? Pack us with a bunch of stuff and leave us alone. We try to figure it out in different ways. We try different things to try to figure it out. You ever see people, especially you being a visionary coach, right? I'm sure you see people, you see them trying to crawl, right? When I see people that are trying to crawl, I know they're trying to figure out, they're trying to do something. So they might have a part of what they might not know everything they want to do, but they may have a little bit. Oh, I want to do this. I want to write a book. Okay. You want to write a book. And then as you start to have conversations with them, you'll start to see that there's they're babies taking baby steps. They're trying to figure it out. So I believe when you get with the right coach and they begin to start to ask the right questions, it will cause they can start unpacking. Remember when I talked about, and I think it was our first dinner with the coaches, and I was talking about unpacking your gift, right? There are some gifts that we can unpack ourselves, right? Just take the bowl, take the top off, and it's right there, right? Those are some things that are obvious. If you know how to do good, you're good at hair, you know that you have somewhere, you might have a vision where you might have to do, or you might be doing hair. There are some gifts that require special tools, right? You can't go on Walmart and buy you can't buy a gift that have the plastic around it and try to rip it with your hands. It just won't work, right? You need a special tool, right, to open it, right? Same way with us. There are some gifts, right, that need a special, there's certain things that those tools can be going through something in life, going through different experiences, different challenges that give you the ability and like I say, give you tools in your toolbox, right? So you can unpack that gift. And then you have some packaging that needs professional unpacking, right? When you buy a refrigerator or you buy any type of appliance that requires professional installation, you need somebody to come and help you unpack that gift. It's the same way with us. There are some gifts that require a professional coach to come in and unpack that gift. So, and if I had to answer that, it's no one way to answer it. It's just the figuring out what kind of gift you have. Do you have one that you can open up yourself? Do you need professional unpacking? And I think they could be even different stages depending on what God called you to do. Yeah. So I think that the more we start to move, because we expect it to be all laid out. And sometimes God give us one thing, and when you move in that direction, then the next directions come.
Right.
So there's no way. I think what happens, why people don't start is because, especially if you're a critical thinker and you got to have all the answers first, you're going to be likely harder to start something because you're going to want all the answers up front. Right. Sometimes it doesn't work like that. Sometimes you get he give you one thing to do, you move on that, and that unlocks the next thing that you're supposed to do.
Right.
So that's how you find out. That's how you start. You have to move in the direction that God is leading you to, because trust me, he does. When I think back to times that I never even paid it any mind, I can look back and see that God was directing me in some areas. I wasn't paying it any attention. So he definitely directs us. That's the Holy Spirit's job, is to lead it and guide us. It's just our job. We just don't take time to sit down and hear. We don't take time for him to allow him to impart in us. So we just feel like, we just want to figure it out. We just want to wake up one day and say, how do I get this done? It doesn't work that way. It starts with one thing first. Do that one thing. When I was obedient to writing that one book, now I have many books inside of me.
Right.
But before I wrote that book, I had a whole bunch. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to write it. I got all these books inside of me. That's all I had, was like a circle of thoughts. But the minute I wrote that first book, now 3 more are coming behind it. Because I obeyed the first one.
So that's a great point. And that's why I think it's going to take another 60 minutes.
Yes.
Because you said a mouthful, but what happens, because you reference the Holy Spirit, you reference God a lot. What happens when somebody is not spiritual?
But when he wrote the word, he said it's made to us, and is the will of God is made known to us. He didn't say it's made known to a certain amount of people. He said the will of God is made known to us.
I know.
It's made known to us intuitively. So I believe, though we may not be able to describe it, each of us know. That's why you have people that don't know God still crawling towards what they believe that they're called to do. They just don't know how to do it, because everybody has that same concept. We want to figure it out all. We want to know it all before we take the first step.
But I think we can help individuals identify that.
Yes.
Because the only reason why you could say so eloquently is because you went through. And when you go through and when you look back, you can identify it.
Right.
You understand, you know what it feels like, you know what it looks like, you even know what it smells like. Right? That's how intimate you are with it.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people out there who are wandering. They have good intentions, but they don't understand what season they're in because they have not identified it yet, because they may not know how to identify it.
That's good.
We'll table that.
Yeah.
Yes. That's
we'll table that. Yeah.
That's a good point.
You know. Yep, and it's awesome. Dennis, what you have? We about to wrap it up.
Well, you know, this has been amazing. You know, I want to thank everybody for the opportunity to, you know, be a part of this process. You know, for the meeting of individuals. You know, with Miss Nadira, I understand that we have a close connection. I do believe in the 6 degrees of separation. I mean, it's amazing. And just the topics.
Hi, by the way, if you're watching.
and just the you know, just hearing the topics and the discussion is affirmation of things that are going on in my life, you know, and just being with like-minded people is just amazing. I really love this platform, and thank you so much for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for being
awesome.
Thank you for accepting our invitation.
Definitely.
Awesome. Miss Audra, how about yourself?
Well, it's definitely been a blessing, and I have to echo what Dennis said. You know, there were some things that were confirmed in me. You know, when we first started talking as well, and when we went on the break, I was like, okay, I get it. You know, he just has a way of speaking to your situation when you're in the company of, like he said, like-minded people and the right people.
That's right.
In the right season, you know, like Nadira said. So, you know, I'm just grateful to be here. Thank you for the invitation as well. And I was able to give some nuggets and take some nuggets. So I appreciate being here tonight.
Yeah, and that's amazing. You know, Nadira is a woman of God as well as myself is a man of God. And when you understand from a spiritual sense, there's a oneness, right? That's why your spirits jumped when you heard certain things, when your ear heard certain things, because there's a oneness. Like if you can ever get to that higher level of understanding of spirituality, there's a oneness, right? That's why you can be in the presence of somebody and they can actually articulate something that you only spoke to God about.
Right.
It was only you and him. But they can articulate it because they have the presence of mind to get to a higher elevation of a oneness and start to talk about things that you was debating, that you was wrestling with. You was undecided. You wasn't so sure, right? Because there's a place that we all get challenged, and that place is belief. We all get challenged there. It's not whether or not we can do it or can it be done. It's do we believe it?
Yeah.
Why? Because when you understand the Creator, on the seventh day, what he do? He rests. So if he rests, that means he's not starting anything.
Right.
It's finished. It's already done. Right?
Yeah.
So if it's already done, do you have the belief to start it? Because it's finished.
Yeah.
Because he said it was done. He didn't say I'm starting it. He said it's done. It's finished.
Wow.
But do you have the presence of mind to believe whatever it is that he put inside of you? That's why somewhere in that Hebrews 11:1 is one of my favorite scriptures. Why? Because it says now, faith is the substance of things hoped for.
Yeah.
And the evidence of things not seen. Can you close your eyes and see it? If you can't see it, how can you achieve it?
Wow.
Why? Because vision has nothing to do with sight.
That's right.
It's belief and faith. If you have those things, that thing that you believe in can materialize. That's why Think and Grow Rich is one of the #1 sellers. The book, Think and Grow Rich. Why? Because it's of the mind.
Yeah.
It walks you through how to create something, from the not tangible to the tangible. But you got to believe it. You got to have enough faith.
Right.
You got to have enough belief. Because each and every one of us on the slide, and anybody that's listening, guess what? You can do it if you believe.
Right.
It's not whether or not it can be done. Do you believe it can be done? Because once you believe, the universe will line up and give you everything that your heart desires.
Yeah, that you need.
Ms. Nadira.
All right, we're going to take a commercial break. And when we get back, what we normally do here on Dinner with the Coaches, after we come back from our break, we allow our coaches to introduce their line of expertise, where you can reach out to them if you are looking for a coach in the area of law, if you need help with law as far as estate planning. We will give each of them a chance to talk about what they do. If you are wanting to write a book and you don't know where to go, where to start, then we have Audra here to help us discover our season and what we need to do in order to write. So we'll be back. Stay with us. If you have any questions for our coaches, please put it in the comments. If you're watching us via replay, make sure you put #replay. We'll be right back after this.
and our moms special kids edition on Tuesday, 8 o'clock.
Don't forget to register at bit.ly/Kids Wellness Clinic. And we'll see you on
Tuesday.
Have a great day and happy holidays to everyone.
With our special guests, Dennis and Audria Hurd. Thank you guys for joining us again. And we are at the segment where we each talk, we actually debrief, right? And talk about and kind of just take a deep breath and kind of realize all the conversation perspectives and things. And as you can tell, it's time for me to turn it over to Thomas because I'm not getting the right word.
Hey. It's quite all right, boy. Let's give Nadira a hand for those awesome commercials that she's producing, boy. She got the kids in it, the children are in it, boy. Oh, that stuff is just amazing. She does a phenomenal job. We appreciate you, young lady. We appreciate you. Well, hey, we're just going to go around. We're going to start with Audrey and just kind of give a couple of indications of, what you do, how people can contact you, kind of what you got from this segment. Then we'll go to Dennis and finish up with Nadira. Then Nadira go last and we'll close it out.
Well, I am a serial author. I call myself serial because I stopped counting how many books I've written.
Wow.
But I am a serial author, and I do have to plug my latest book. It is called The Wonders of Scribby. So I'm the first-time children's book author. I'm very excited about that.
Awesome.
So that is what I do. I am an author. I write, and I do coach authors. Authors as well as business owners. So if you're looking to write a book, don't know where to start, perhaps you are dealing with some pain like Thomas talked about. We do have a coaching program that we assist you with getting beyond that pain so you can write that powerful book of influence. So that is what I do. You can reach me at ibgpublications.com. That is my publishing company. We do assist with publishing, coaching, and marketing. So I am at your service. Thank you for allowing me to be here tonight. I appreciate the opportunity to share. Anytime I am afforded the opportunity to share, I appreciate it. So that's where you all can find me online. That is ibgpublications.com.
Awesome. Keep up the good work. Keep up the great work. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's to be commended. Mr. Dennis?
Yes. Well, first, and again, I want to thank you for this opportunity to present. Like I said, I've been practicing law for 32 years. Initially, I was into a lot of different areas. You traditionally hear about auto accidents and family law and, all those different areas. But I decided within the last 2 years that I wanted to focus in on my passion, which is estate planning. Now, a lot of people think estate planning is when somebody dies, but I wanted to put a spin on it after doing a lot of reading and talking to other attorneys. And it's really from the living standpoint, because we all talk about on this platform and in our circles about the creation of wealth. We talk about the preservation of wealth, but one of the things we don't talk about is the transfer of wealth. And I think in Psalms, it talks about, a wise man provides for his children's children. So when we're talking about estate work, we should not be talking about dying. We should be talking about living. What are you going to do in order to make sure that your kingdom that you're building that is effectively transferred to the next generation? Because our children should be standing on our shoulders, and we should be training them to accept everything that we've been building, to accept it and to be able to take it to the next level. So I'm really passionate about it. There is a tremendous African-American community for estate planning to make sure that this wealth is transferred and to understand the concepts. I could be found at geraldlawfirm.com, www.geraldlawfirm.com. My telephone number is there. We have, chat services that are available. People can submit, inquiries, and we respond, very quickly to those inquiries. So again, I'm very passionate about what we're doing. I want to spread the word about the transfer of wealth. I want to help keep people out of court with proper planning on the front side versus no planning on the back side. And then you find yourself in a lot of trouble. And just keep people out of conflict. And if I could do that, I would have fulfilled my goals. So that's where I'm coming from, Thomas. Back to you.
Wow. Awesome. Wow. Two dynamic individuals doing phenomenal things out there in the marketplace, you guys. Incredible. Well, hey, I'm your co-host, Mr. Thomas Taylor III. I'm a visionary coach. Pretty much a lot of things that we talked about here tonight is what I help individuals do. I help business leaders align their dreams with their destiny so they can build a lasting legacy, kind of along the lines of what Dennis was talking about in terms of what you're building. How can you make it last in terms of your legacy? And actually, it starts with your name, right? And a lot of people really don't understand that aspect of it. But again, I'm a visionary coach. You can reach out to me on Instagram at Thomas Taylor III. That's Taylor Your Dreams. Or if you want to email me, if you have some questions, you can email me at tyd@tayloryourdreams.com. Miss Nadira?
Awesome. And I am Nadira Lewis. I am an author. life and business coach, and I help women who take their experiences and turn them into life lessons. And the way I do that is I actually help you be able to take those experiences, take the lessons that you learn from them, and turn them into courses that you can help other women with. I believe that just like hurt people transform people, can transform people too. I am also, I think I'm going to give myself this new name. I am the queen of video. If you need help or assistance with creating a video for your business, then you can also sign up for it. I have a bunch of courses on my website, theentrepreneur.academy.com, where I actually list a bunch of courses for entrepreneurs that don't know what to do or where to go or how to start. I have courses on demand for you to be able to watch and be able to apply the principles that I show you in videos to help your business. So again, you can go to theentrepreneur.academy.com, and it is a subscription-based business. You can pay monthly and get 4 classes, new classes every month, where you'll be able, well, actually you get 4 for the price of 1. So, I mean, for the price of 3. So I think that's pretty amazing. And so that's basically what I do. I am an inspirational life and business coach, and that is what I do.
Oh, so we lost some of that, but you finished strong, though, because it was cutting in and out, but you finished strong, though. We got you. Right? Yeah. Cool. Well, I said, you guys could hang around. We can talk a little bit after, but Ms. Nadira?
All right. Well, thanks, guys, for watching. Thanks to our guests that have accepted our invitation. We appreciate you very much. If you have questions for our guests, make sure you put it in the comments, and we'll be sure to make sure that we respond. Again, if you are watching the replay, make sure you put #replay so that we can be there to answer your questions also. Don't forget to join me on Tuesday for In the Wellness Clinic, where we are going to have our special kids edition, where we're going to be showing them how to have healthy choices as young kids. Imagine that. We're going to do that on Tuesday. Have a happy Thanksgiving, and it's been really good being with you all tonight.
Yes.
Thanks for watching, guys. Have a wonderful evening.
Definitely.
Needing from you, yeah. Crash land in the palm of my hand. Bad little flex wanna play by the coast. Carry the torch, I'm way up, it's litty wherever we float. I came from the cold, used to rest on the floor. I stitch up my wounds, was born a soldier. Flipping the struggle, I'm taking it worldwide. Hold it down when you talk to me. Say it is what it's supposed to be. Say it loud, but I mean it too, yeah. Talk that good when you talk to me. Say it nice and I give it to you. You know my word is litty wherever we float. Came from the cold, used to rest on the floor. I stitch up my